Ashe.
So this is
Yeah.
the construct. This is Yeshua, the Son of Man, telling about the heaven of heavens, the heavens above Yaldabaoth's heaven. And now remember, I was just telling y'all that, you know, the text AOJ says that he created a replica, not that he had ever seen the higher heavens, because it tells you that he did never, you know, see it. He wasn't kicked out of heaven. That's not the real story. But
Right.
this writes here, this is the AOJ. It says, this is the first archon who took a great power from his mother, and he removed himself from her and moved away from the places in which he was born. He became strong and created for himself other aeons with a flame of luminous fire, which still exists now. And he joined with his arrogance, which is in him, and begot authorities for himself. The name of the first is Athoth, whom the generations call the Reaper. The second is Harmas, who is the eye of envy. The third one is Kalila Ombri. The fourth is Yabel. The fifth one is Adoniah, who is called Sabaoth. The sixth one is Cain, whom the generations of men call the Sun, the Son. The seventh is Abel. The eighth is Abrasine. The ninth is Jabel. The 10th is Armupiel. The 11th is Melser Adonin, and the 12th is Belias. It is he who is over the depths of Hades. And he placed 7 kings, each corresponding to the firmaments of heaven, over the 7 heavens, and over the 5 over the depths of the abyss, that they may reign. And he shared his fire with them, but he did not send forth the fire from the power of light which he had taken from his mother, for he is ignorance. So even with this, we hear the same. Didn't that just kind of sound like what Yeshua was just saying about them? The heavens is constructed, and it even goes. It even goes into deeper down. It says a couple of paragraphs down from there. It says, and the archons created 7 powers for themselves, and the powers created for themselves 6 angels for each one, until they became 365 angels. And these are the bodies belonging with the names. And then they name all those names. He says, it says the first is Athoth, as he has a sheep's face. The second one is Eloeu. He has a donkey face. The third is Astaphaeos. He has a hyena face. The fourth one is Yao. He has a serpent face with the 7 heads. The fifth is Sabaoth. He has a dragon face. The sixth is Adonin. He has a monkey's face. The 7th is Sabede. He has a shining fire face. This is the 7ness of the week. But Yaldabaoth had a multitude of faces. So you see the carbon copy?
Right.
You see the carbon copy.
Absolutely.
That's why I said these 2 books.
Circle.
Right. 360 and 365. You know. But we see the similitude in which Yaldabaoth created this. It's the inversion. It's the equal opposite. That's what he did. He took, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If this is true, then by default, its equal opposite is also true. If this is this, and that's the inversion. That's the inversion of the gospel. That's the inversion of the science. That's why it's a direct copy. Because same way with an algebra problem, anything you do on one side of the equal sign, you got to do on the other side of the equal sign. If this is true, then this is true. If it's over here, it got to be over here. That's a mathematical law. And we know numbers don't lie. Math don't lie.
The universal language. So in this paragraph, Great Mother, when it mentions like Adamus was in the first luminous cloud that no angel had ever seen, and it goes into breaking down these mathematics, it's talking about the real initial creation, not Yaldabaoth's, correct? Because Yaldabaoth this part of the Gospel of Judas, I mean.
Yes, it's talking about, the higher heavens. And this, what I'm reading, is reading how the lower heavens is constructed, what Yaldabaoth did. And it sounds almost verbatim, to each.
Right.
It's saying the same thing, the same construct, use the same blueprint. That's why I say there's but one truth. Either they working with it backwards, and how GM was talking about the error of the stars, the backwardness, the inversion. But it's but one blueprint. And what they do with that blueprint, that one blueprint, is the same character, same role, different character name. You understand? So
wow, and this opens up a lot of subjects we could build on too with regard to this, because Yaldabaoth, he's the envious one, and he's kind of like that little brat of a kid, Yaldabaoth, who's kind of just like I want to do it too. Since the Most High Barbelo did it, I want to also do it.
Right.
Like I'm going to imitate it. I could do it just as good. And maybe
jealousy reaps from the pores.
Right,
for sure.
When we talk about shadow work, there's that part of the lower self that wants to do. It's like I can do it too, but it turns out to be a flawed imitation because it isn't the authentic initial thing. It's like you say, a carbon copy. And yeah,
we know
there's so many
kids
angles we could go with this. I mean,
and we know little kids go through that phase, around 2 or 3. Once they learn certain things, I want to do it. They don't want you to do it for them anymore. They go through that I want to do it phase. I want to show you what I can do phase.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about when you likened him as unto a child, and it also shows the infancy, a person who's in the infancy of their spiritual walk. I wrote this paper called So You Are Awake, and it's basically telling the newly awakened what to expect. It's like when we first wake up, we be out there trying to tell any and everybody, no, you don't understand, it's a lie, right. But as you grow and as you keep going, maybe I'm just better. Let me just be quiet and just study and get the stuff down. It's levels to wisdom. Right. It's the wisdom. But in our infancy, I want to do it. Let me show you what I can do. Look what I know. How people use the knowledge to debate and all of that. That's spiritual infancy. You're only doing you're showing what you're not doing it to edify anybody. That's not your main intent.
Right, to uplift others. You just want praise for you.
It's to uplift yourself, for your egotistical gains.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One thing that occurred to me, Great Mother, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, we look at the story of Yaldabaoth, if we say theoretically Yaldabaoth could have made better choices, maybe Yaldabaoth could have been his higher self instead of do what he decided to do. So what I mean, for example, and you'll see where I'm going with this, is let's say, imagine instead of trying to imitate the higher heavens and create these archons to rule over this prison that he created and make his own son of man that he named Adam, what if Yaldabaoth just decided to tread his own path and just exist as what he is and humble himself instead of do what he decided to do? And this is a trip because I'm not going to say this individual's name, but on one of these TikTok live streams with, some of these funny characters that don't even really need to be brought up, I heard one of them say one time, I'm just treading my path. I'm just existing as I was created to exist. And that's all I can do, which maybe that would have been the better route if I'm making sense.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Just be what you are. That's what the Sister Hilaris was saying, like Yaldabaoth wanted to be Barbelo instead of just be what he is. He could have just been okay, I was born this abomination from a mistake or a fornication that my mother Sophia committed. But I'm just going to humble myself and exist in this form for a while. But instead, he decided to be arrogant and wanted to create a flawed prison, and
right. Okay, we're gonna keep on reading because it's fixing to really cross paths. It's fixing to read exactly the same as the AOJ in just a second. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Continue.
It says the multitude of those immortals is called the cosmos. That is perdition. By the Father and the 72 luminaries who are with the self-generated and his 72 eons.
Hold on, stop real quick right there. We got these 72 luminaries, same way on the other side, we got the 72 demons of the Goetia. Continue.
Right. Right. That came to mind. And perdition means hell, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it says the cosmos. The multitude of those immortals are called the cosmos. That is perdition. That's deep.
Right. So the cosmos, these constellations, that's the lower heaven. He is telling you that that's perdition. That's really hell. And when I have a poem called The Greatest of Evil. I say the demons that had the power, the evil that had the power to bind the demons to the bottom of the sea. Demons being bound to the sea is these demons being bound in constellations. Same way we got these Greek gods. We got Cassiopeia, and she was thrown into the stars for this, and she was stuck to the heavens for that. And that's being bound. You understand? So what's above, when they tell you that the sun is hot, how is the sun hot when the higher we get up, that we go up is colder? Is it not? On mountains, it's colder. And when your body, when the spirit leaves the body, an unalived body, it does what? Turns cold, does it not? So,
yes.
Yeah. So
we go closer and get colder.
Thank you. Things of death is not necessarily. Hell ain't hot. Hell is cold.
Right.
Hell is up and not down, because we're living in the upside down kingdom. So what we see is up is really down. Left is inverted. Really right. It's inverted. So this is what he says: the multitude of those immortals is called the cosmos. That is perdition by the Father and the 72 luminaries who are with the self-generated and his 72 aeons. In him, the first human appeared with his incorruptible powers, and the aeon that appeared with his generation, the aeon in whom are the cloud of knowledge and the angel, is called El. Aeon after that said, let 12 angels come into being to rule over chaos in the underworld. And look, from the cloud there appeared an angel whose face flashed with fire and whose appearance was defiled with blood. His name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others call him Yaldabaoth. Another angel. Now think, this is the Gospel of Judas that we're reading from, not the ALJ. It says that his name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others call him Yaldabaoth. Another angel, Sackless, also came from the cloud. So Nebro created 6 angels as well as Sackless to be assistants, and these produced 12 angels in the heavens, with each one receiving a portion in the heavens. The 12 rulers spoke with the 12 angels. Let each of you fragmented, and let them fragmented generation. It says the first one is Seth, who is called Christ. The second one, Harmathoth, who is blank. The third is Galala. The fourth is Yobel. The fifth one is Adonias. Don't these names start to sound familiar? What I just read a while ago. These are the 5 who ruled the underworld, and first of all over chaos. Then Sackless said to his angels, let us create a human being after the likeness, after the image. They fashioned Adam and his wife Eve, who was called in the cloud Zoe. For by this name all the generations seek the man, and each of them calls the woman by these names. Now Sackless did not blank command except the generations this fragmented, and the ruler said to Adam, you shall live long with your children. Judas said to Jesus, what is the long duration of time that the human being will live? Yeshua said, why are you wondering about this? That Adam with his generation has lived his span of life in the place where he has received his kingdom with longevity with his ruler. Judas said to Jesus, does the human spirit die? Yeshua said, this is why God ordained Michael to give the spirits of people to them as a loan, so that they might offer service. But the great one ordered Gabriel to grant spirits to the great generation with no ruler over it. That is the spirit and the soul. Therefore, the rest of the souls, 1 line missing, 2 lines missing, around, let spirit that is within you dwell in the flesh among the generations of the angels. So even with this, with the situation that happened last night, when one was saying they were Gabriel, and remember I was saying this person is trying to exert themselves above us in a position of authority that they don't have by saying that they're that angel. What did you say? But the great one ordered Gabriel to grant spirits to the great generation with no ruler over it. No, sir, that's not who you are.
I didn't want to say anything,
Yeah, that was, yeah.
There's a lot with this here. You taught me who I am, Great Mother, which is Caph, the son of Cassiopeia. And as it mentions here, Cassiopeia is from a certain perspective, in perdition, bound in the cosmos, as it mentions, cosmos perdition.
Right.
Is that correct, Great Mother?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Even in a sense, like I said, it's the inversion. You know,
Right.
in their kingdom, we're the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
In our kingdom, they're the bad guys. And in their
Right.
kingdom, same
Right.
way in the three descents of Barbalo says, she came to be one of them amongst them, to play by their
Mm-hmm.
rules and still in other words, use your doctrine. I can use this Bible and still wake up my people. Those who have ears to hear, who are really mine, gonna hear what I'm really teaching them. So when you as they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, you got to play by their rules. So
Right.
in
Right.
this
Right.
realm, which is Satan's kingdom, so to speak, Yaldabael's kingdom, there's a certain level of being bound that we are on this plane of existence. Because to be entombed in flesh is crippling to the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
naturally.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
body, the spirit is restricted by what it can do. It can't be its eternal, impossible, all, being self. As long as we're in flesh, we can get as close as we can to it. But so that's a
Right.
certain type of binding, being bound in this realm, because this realm
Mm-hmm.
is his jurisdiction. And Yeshua just
Mm-hmm.
said that. He said that they gonna get longevity in their kingdom. They gonna live forever in their kingdom. Same way when
I
they
see. I'm starting to get it.
yeah,
Mm.
and why you worried
Mm-hmm.
about that? He asked them. They gonna live forever in their
Right.
kingdom. They will forever rule there. This earth gonna keep turning, and this is his jurisdiction. That's his lot that he's been given.
That makes sense why he said to Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan," when Peter was saying, "Don't go to the cross. You stay here. Stay alive. Don't depart." Or actually saying staying in unalivement, which
Right.
the ancient Egyptians would talk about how those who have passed on are the ones who are truly living, and to be DEAD means to be in human, physical, earthly embodiment.
Right.
This is all making so much sense. you know so Cassiopeia is the divine feminine in a sense. Or, there's the Ethiopian goddess Cassiopeia, and according to the story, the mythology, she's suspended in the cosmos, which that suspension, that stagnation can be looked at as a type of hell.
Right.
Mm.
Indeed. Absolutely. So he says, I'm going to pick up right here, but God caused knowledge to be given to Adam and those with him, so that the kings of chaos and the underworld might not lord it over them. So the Most High gave them the tea, gave them the secret, gave them the keys to the kingdom, to where even though we are on this plane of existence, they still can't rule over us in a way that they can rule over those who are mortals. You understand?
Right.
Once you've been given a certain level of knowledge, i.e., knowing that he ain't got no power, that Yaldabaoth was stripped of his power a long time ago. That's why they kept this AOJ out, because it makes that plain. So, but they have been given knowledge, or they've been given the revelation, to where we have an advantage just by knowing certain things that cause, who was that? Frederick Douglass, I believe, said knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. So it makes sense that this thing, knowledge was given to them so that they wouldn't be enslaved by the kings of chaos and the kings of the underworld, that they may be lord over them. They can't lord over us like they can lord over a regular immortal that is Yaldabael's seed. They got jurisdiction, that kingdom and they hierarchy and they priesthood. Those who have signed on to that priesthood and those who are Yaldabael's seed, they're subject to those beings. Those beings lord over them, have power over them. Only have power over you and even then you're protected while you're in that unknowing state, but only have the power over you in a certain way, even when you're asleep, even then, because you're destined to come to the knowledge of knowing who and what they are. So
this is explaining the Gospel of Judas profoundly. It's making perfect sense. It's perfect the way you explain it, Great Mother, the way you put it into like the modern lingo perspective, so we can understand what it's talking about. Makes perfect sense.
Ashe. So it says, Judas said to Yeshua, "What will those generations do?" Yeshua said, "Truly I say to you, for all of them, the stars bring matters to completion. When Sockless completes the span of time assigned for him, their first star will appear with the generations, and they will finish what they said they would do. They then will fornicate in my name and slay their children, and they will blank and blank, about 6.5 lines missing, my name, and he will blank your star over the 13th aeon. So it's saying that he gonna do something to your star. That's that body snatching, that soul snatching. After that, Yeshua laughed. Judas said, Master, why are you laughing at us? Yeshua answered and said, I'm not laughing at you, but at the error of the stars, because these 6 stars wander about with these 5 combatants, and they all will be destroyed along with their creatures.
Okay.
He said they fight amongst each other, and ain't none of them gonna make it out alive. Judas said to Yeshua, look, what will those who have been baptized in your name do? Yeshua said, truly I say to you, this baptism, blank, my name, about 9 lines missing to me. Truly I say to you, Judas, those who offer sacrifices to Sockless, 3 lines missing, everything that is evil. I believe it's saying those who offer sacrifice, they gonna inherit everything that is evil. But you will exceed all of them, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me. Already your horn has been raised. Wow, your wrath has been kindled. Your star has shone brightly, and your heart has blank. Truly blank, your last blank become 2 lines missing. Grieve missing. The ruler, since he will be destroyed. You see how they take the stuff out to let you know? So-called fragment. I ain't fragmented. Y'all removed it.
Right.
Yeah. The ruler, since he will be destroyed. And then the image of the great generation of Adam will be exalted. For prior to heaven, earth, and the angels, that generation, which is from the eternal realm, exists. Come on, what did you hear that? And then the image of the image of the perfect man, the image of the great generation of Adam, the real Adam, Adam, Pagera Adamus, as the ALJ put it, will be exalted. Then it says, for prior to heaven and earth, so this heaven that we see above and this earth that we own, and the angels, prior to the angels, that generation, which is from the eternal realms, exists. So we come before that. Those who come from this race, before the earth, you understand, before the foundations of the earth were laid, I was. As Yeshua said, before Moses was, I am. Come on now.
Right.
I am. Been here. Day one. As
That's
they
what
say,
that
some
means.
are day one. Some are born in and some are sworn in. Born in. You know, born into the knowledge. It's my birthright to come to the knowing of this. I don't have to join your clubs because it's going to be unlocked in me. When you try to unalive me, you're going to be shown. When you run that ritual on me, I'm still here, still riding. Star still riding. Destiny still intact, still moving towards, still compass pointed due north to righteousness, and needle ain't waving. Come on now. And that's their job, to knock you off. And that's as long as, this is why I say, as long as you continue to keep righteousness in mind, you can't fail. You won't fail.
Right.
It's impossible for you to fail. Impossible. You come from the race of the incorruptible man. Incorruptible. Even when you may think you're walking in darkness, that is the part of the divine plan for your destiny.
Right.
You got to walk through the darkness to be the light in the low places. Only you being there is what gives those dark places light. You understand? And when you truly come to know that, this is why I say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of unalive, I will feel no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me the rest of my days, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You know, this is what this is. So when you truly come to know, there's nothing that you fear. Nothing. And like I said, they start running from you. Them demons don't go depart from you 7 ways. What? Who?
Right.
Who?
Right.
Quima? Oh no, man, I'm not going over there. I'm not going over there. Matter of fact, I'm finna cash in your soul contract for even thinking.
Because I can't even go over there.
Right,
I can't
right.
even I can't even go in the city. I'm
Wow.
ashamed. But
There's a lot to this.
it is. It's a lot in it. And
Mhm.
like I said, now you're seeing it's coincide. It's testifying of the AOJ that testify.
Right.
Each of these testify of the truth of the. They bear witness to one another. The Gospel of Judas bears witness to the AOJ, and the AOJ bears witness to
There's witness
so
to the
many.
gospel. Right.
Glued to so many other things when it comes to understanding and inner and overstanding what's really being taught, what was really removed, and why.
Right. Great mother. I probably, I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but I do want to brush back over some of the above pieces of the scriptures of the Gospel of Judas that you read over. If I'm understanding correct, Yaldabaoth and the Archons have set the stars in motion for a respited amount of time, meaning that, you know, it will only last so long before those alignments change, or, you know, they're not, no longer allowed to hold their rulership. Because if I understand the Greek mythology, the Titans fell asleep, you know, and then the Olympians took over, and the Titans can't come back until the stars are right again. You know, maybe there's a correlation here because, you know, there was something we were reading in the above parts of the text. I have to scroll back through it about how the demiurge and the archons only have a certain amount of time with the stars in the position that they have them in based on how they set those things in motion. If I'm understanding correct, I have to go back to it. You know,
Right. I would say
mm-hmm.
because you remember it also says that they're gonna reign there forever. I think
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
with us, those who come from the race of the perfect man, that there will be a time where we will no longer have to incarnate in their realm, nor will
Right.
those who are from the race of the perfect man be blinded now anymore, you know, or
Right.
have to even deal with that realm. And but yet and still, those who have decided to be, they will reign there forever. It's almost like this bleep gonna exist. Now the structure of it may change because the scripture tells us that heaven and earth will pass away, but that's talking about this heaven and this earth. You know, even the way I kind of wrote it in the Timeless Dynasty too. You remember at the end, the energy of the archons went to be the power, the electrical system. They were the negative electrical energy that was that powered the New Jerusalem city that descended. So they were reassigned because energy can't be created, destroyed, but transferred from one form to another. So they were reassigned. You understand? So there's almost a certain, it's like you are who you are, but you can be put in certain situations to where you're limited authority, you know, your authority is limited. Again, you know, a lot of these things are speculation based on, you know, and hypothesis. My hypothesis based on the things that I've studied and with how I interpret the things. But because,
Absolutely.
like I said, the Bible tells us that heaven and earth is going to pass away, but we know that ain't talking about the higher heaven, because the interpretation that we've been given of that book is that even though it says in there they talk about higher heavens, but they would like you to think that what you see above, that's the only heaven. You know, John says, I was caught up to the third heaven, and and all of these things are symbolic again of the body. The third heaven, we have the place in the brain called the third ventricle, where the fornix is, that sits in the center. So all of it essential is teaching about the temple, and or the house, right? It's all itself. So when Judas was talking about that big house that he saw, all these dignitaries, and Yeshua said, your stars led you astray. It's like, in a certain sense, he saw some schizophrenic people. If the house is symbolic of the body, he's seeing all these people in this house. That sound like schizophrenia and certain symbolism.
You know what I kind of go to, Queen Mother Africa? You know how, like, when Tweety Bird used to get knocked out, see the stars?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. But yeah, it's talking about, all these beings occupying one body or one house. That sound
Mhm.
like legion. I am legion, for we are many. What that one
Mhm.
possessed man said when Yeshua asked him, "Who are you?" My name, what's your name? My name is Legion,
Okay.
for we are many. That's what that is. Multiple personality disorder, like GM has
Mhm.
been, talking about the past couple of days. All these
Mhm.
people in this big grand house.
That's
Same
that
way.
house that he saw.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that house that he saw.
Mhm.
And when he was talking about
Mhm.
it in a glorified manner, that's when Shua told him, "You'll start and lead you astray." In other words, that ain't no good thing. You don't want to go in that house.
Right, I've been there too.
That ain't no good
I
thing.
was deceived by that house too. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
which
Oh yeah. It's a part of the path. We got to walk through it so that we can be able to identify. We're allowed to walk through it so far before we're snatched out of the fire, as the scriptures talk
right,
about. And it's all about it. What it essentially is on the job training for us. You got to
I'm
right,
go
because
through it.
grateful for that.
Right,
those secret club boys, like they would like to pose as the order of Melchizedek.
right. They
You
would
know,
like to. That is the illusion.
right, or
Yeah.
look like that. Exactly. It's
Right.
posturing as being that when it isn't that.
Right, because they the ones who got
Mhm.
you got to have a sacrifice and all that, and
Mhm.
that's that club that Yeshua told them was gonna
Interesting.
happen. Came from what they started.
Mhm. Right. And we haven't gotten yet to the end of this gospel, which I've read through it,
Right,
um I don't want to spoil anything, for those listening. Yeah, maybe I'll just shut up right here because I don't want to spoil the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like we got our
right,
popcorn. Yes, great mother. It's all just so profound because, and I've talked about these things many times, comparing and contrasting to how like the fundamentalist religious people look at it. Like you see that they have some truth, but they just don't have it in the right way in some kind of ways. Like even when I go
right,
to church on Sunday, if it's a regular Christian church, they're going to be saying some truth when they preach and read from the Bible, but they may not even see the depth of what they're reading from the Bible unless you get into these Gnostic books. Because it's like a regular fundamentalist Christian will tell you, well, Jesus was God in person. He was God in flesh. So he had to come down into the human world and speak to us in parables. But they're not seeing the bigger picture that it was like he comes from the other higher realms into the demiurge's realm. So
right,
they're putting it, so the fundamentalist Christians, the regular religious people, they're like correct in a sense, but they don't have the whole big picture until you start reading
right,
some of these books. And it's just so eye opening.
How you take us back to certain texts that, like the AOJ, you go, I love that. It makes it all linked together, and I love that you do that. So
I say,
gratitude.
Absolutely.
indeed.
Gratitude.
That's the only way to be a holistic approach, using all sources
Right.
that you know of on the subject matter. You can get a
Right.
clear picture.
Right.
There's plenty of
Hmm.
stories in the Bible and stuff that we've been taught that certain things just drop off. You'd be like, well, what? There is another part to it. They took it out. It
Right.
drops off
That part.
for a reason. So it's important that we study these different things and be open minded and consider the text that were taken out, to consider the mindset of the ones who decided to take them out, considering how the church did Yeshua back in his day. So knowing that there's nothing new under the sun, is just the same souls playing different roles. If they did
Mm.
the truth of Yeshua, what he taught, if they hid it and concealed it back then, they're still doing it today. Therefore, as Alaris said, anything that they tell you to stay away from, run to that.
Run to it straight
Run
up.
to it. Anybody that
Straight
they
up.
tell you is evil, go
Right.
check them out yourself.
Right.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Go check them out
As they
yourself.
say, amen to that. Amen. You know.
So to answer your question, I would say no.
How's the live
Mm.
stream,
Did
Dad?
he really betray
Awesome.
Yeshua?
Or are you still
Well,
on?
you would say no, and I understand how you mean in that. I would say, a certain way of thinking, yes, but not in the way that we were taught, because he revealed him.
Right.
He
Yeah.
betrayed him based on the ancient definition, the Latin definition of the term, tradire. So yes and no. But like I said, not in the way, the story that we were fed about what betrayal really meant is what's erroneous. So
Mm-hmm.
both are correct. No, he didn't. Not in the way that they painted him to be. That was a part of his persecution. Like I said, his humiliation, his 1,000-year going humiliation ritual. And it's
Wow.
still going right along with Mary Magdalene, with painting her as a whore. That she gone through the humiliation ritual all this time, and the unveiling of the bride is unveiling that she was actually the bride, not the whore. You know, he was.
Right.
That's the unveiling of the bride. You know,
Mm.
yeah, that
Wow. The
part.
unveiling of Mary Magdalene, the
Who
unveiling of
she
the
really
bride.
was.
Mhm.
And who Judas really was, the truth being revealed, the revelation of Christ. Because as Hebrews 7 said, our Lord sprung out of Judah, the one that's after the order of Melchizedek, sprung out of Judas,
Mm-hmm.
the gospel of Judas, what was taught to Judas.
With the smiley face.
With
Their
the smiley
God,
face.
come on, with the
Ashe.
smiley face. Their God
Ashe.
comes from the priesthood of Levi, but our God comes from the tribe of Judah, who Moses said nothing about concerning the priesthood.
Mm.